Hello, this is Grandma Jan from Red Toad Art Studio. And today we are going to do a Christmas montage. When I'm filming this, it's only about a week till Christmas. It's so hard to believe. And we might want to do a fun montage before Christmas that we can use for decoration. And I have a coloring picture right here of a deer head that has antlers, and we hung decorations on it in the picture. I want to show in this montage how we take a coloring picture like this, turn it into pattern pieces, and make a montage out of it. And I'm also going to do something different. I've been doing all my montages and putting them in books, mainly my big book. I want to make this a 12 by 12 picture, and I'm not going to put it in a book because I would like to hang it up at Christmas time if it comes out. So I'm going to use as a base a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. And on that piece of cardstock, I need to paste my backing, which will be this. And, well, that's the first step of this, so let's do this now. Since this is a big piece, and it's hard to get my stick glue that I usually use on smoothly, and I definitely don't want to miss anything and cause bubbles and wrinkles, I'm going to try to use Mod Podge for my glue to paste my background down. I have not done that before, but we'll see how it works. So let's smooth that, and let's get either a big brush or one of these spongy kind of things so we can spread it out quickly and get the paper down before it dries. So shall we see how that goes? I haven't done this before. But here's my Mod Podge, and I'm going to place it on here quickly so that I can get it spread out. Before it dries, I need to be sure and get my background pasted on. But I don't want so much that it wrinkles my paper terribly. Well, I hope I got that on there nice and smooth. And then we'll take our 12 by 12, this is scrapbooking paper, a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbooking paper, and line it up as best we can. And smooth it from the center out and push any wrinkles out. There we go. Now, let's make sure and use a brayer and that we push any wrinkles out. A wrinkle now will be a wrinkle later in my picture. I think that worked pretty good. Now, don't forget to stick your brush or your sponge in water. Now, I will need to clean up my area. We don't want to get things stuck down where we don't want them stuck. There, a good base to work on. You could also work on a heavier watercolor paper or a piece of cardboard, or a canvas, which I'm going to attempt here in the next couple videos. I want to try one on a canvas. But today we're going to use cardstock and see how that works out. I'm quite happy with that. All right. Our next step is to figure out what should be our templates here. And the biggest piece I will need is the deer head. So we want to cut out the deer head. Let's not include the ears or the antlers. So we want that cut out. Okay, we just want this piece right now as a pattern piece for our head and neck. First, we have to choose what texture and color our deer is going to be. And of course, I wanted to make it brown. I'm going for a kind of realistic, not totally, but kind of. And so, I chose from paper that looked like glue. Now, this was scrapbooking paper. This is giraffe fur. And it makes beautiful fur for animals. And so, I placed my pattern piece on a piece of this and then drew around it. And here is a picture of that to show you what I did. I drew around it, and then I just drew the eyes in and right around the nose a little bit. And if that's hard for you, you can cut some of the pieces out of the head that you just cut out and lay them on and draw around them. Now I did this piece, and another piece of pattern paper, and I did the nose, which I'll show you in a minute. You can see the nose in my photo of this. I found a dark red piece of paper and cut it out and drew the nose markings on that and glued it on. And also, before I glued it on, you can do this afterwards, but also I took my colored pencils and did some shadow work, like under the chin, under the neck, around the eyes, the top of the head a little bit, and kind of smudged that in for some shadows. And then cut it out. My cutout piece, here you see my cutout piece. It's this here with the nose pasted on. You can do the nose anytime you want. And with some shadowing on it. And I make sure my black outlines show, just it helps it set it off somewhat. And this will be put approximately in the center of our picture. But I'm not going to glue it down yet. I want to have all my other pieces in place so I'm sure how it fits. So I have the center. We need this little tuft of hair here. I actually used a piece of bark, not actual bark, it's a picture of bark, and laid that pattern piece that I cut out here, I cut this out and laid it on there and drew around it, and then I put dots in it. That's up to you whether you want to do that or not. And I colored it in with a darker colored pencils. It didn't cover the pattern, it just darkened it. And that will be pasted on his head later. And the nose was done with a dark red piece of paper in the same way. I laid it on there and drew around it, cut it out, and I went ahead and pasted that on. If you have trouble drawing these lines in and getting them to look right, you could use a piece of carbon paper or something like that and trace them on. But I think you could probably draw those simple lines in. Then we needed to make the ears. So I laid the ears on some furry textured paper again, the same that I used for the head. And I had cut these out separately, each ear separately, and marked them whether they were right or left, because once they're cut out and floating around, you'll never remember, and cut them out. So, you see my left marking, and there is that, and made a lighter textured center. So now take that piece that you cut out of the ear and cut around it again, that smaller center, mark it left or right again, and there's our ears. Not glued down yet, but we will glue them down later and see what it looks like. Now, something else important in that picture is the antlers. Now, you can make those antlers any color you decide to make them. Probably a beige color or a brown color is the most realistic, but I strayed from that. I wanted to make gold antlers. So, I found a piece of gold wrapping paper. Isn't that pretty wrapping paper? And it's also weird texture. It's almost like those mylar balloons. It's really hard to work with, but I gave it a whirl and laid my antler pattern, which I had cut out then. And when you cut these antler patterns out, I'll give you a hint. For ease of cutting, go in and draw the lines that would be there. Pretend that those decorations aren't there and fill in the missing lines. Like right here. That way it's easier for you to see where to cut. And you might need to do that when you cut out the ears. See, part of the ears are missing? Just fill those lines in. We should have done that before we cut the ears out. So, and there was a little tip of their antler here. Okay, we have this here too. And then cut the antlers out. We've cut the ears out, the head out, the nose out. Now we need to cut the antlers, and you choose the material that you would like. Let me move my ear back here. And we're going to move him down because we have to have room for antlers. You can take that away now. And I cut it out, believe it or not, out of that gold stuff. It wasn't easy. And also, again, I marked them left or right. Now I'll need to move him down. That's why we needed a 12 by 12. You could do it by an 8.5 by 11, I imagine, because the original is an 8.5 by 11. But I like not being constrained by that size. And here's my right antler. There. I like that. Now, if you notice, again, we had a lot of Christmas balls in here. Well, I found those in a book and didn't make them. I cut them out of a collage book. But if you don't have a collage book that has Christmas decorations in it, do these the same way. Cut it out. You might have to make 2 copies of the pattern. Trace them onto pattern pieces of paper that are bright and Christmassy and make your own decorations. The other thing that's on here is these leaves. We need to make the leaves. I have Scad's leaves that I made. I made quite a few because it has to go across a 12-inch piece of paper rather than 8.5-inch. But let me show you. I cut out around the biggest leaf, and I used the leaf that was here in the corner and just finished drawing it out. And then cut around the outer edge. It will look like this. It looks kind of funny, doesn't it? I used yellow. Use any color you want. I used leaves from a holly tree as an example, and they have kind of an edge to them. And I wanted to show that. So I cut this out in yellow, and then I cut my pattern down after I had done, I did 12 of them. You'll do what you want. I cut that pattern down so it was smaller and pasted this green piece on top and got my holly leaves that way. In fact, we'll paste this one right now. And all this does take time. That's why I didn't feel like you would want to watch a video of me doing 12 of these. In fact, it becomes 24 by the time you have to cut the green ones too. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Most leaves don't look perfect. And there is my holly leaf. That's number 12. I have them all glued now. All right, let's just set those back for a minute. I think we're going to try using, for little holly berries, we're going to try to use sequins. You could use sequins. You could use little red buttons, would be cute. How about just cutting some berries out of red paper, red felt? Lots of things you could do to do the little berries, and I haven't made my berries yet. We'll have to make those together. I do kind of want to lay out how I want these leaves on our kind of arrange these on the bottom. We're just kind of seeing how it works right now. We want to kind of disguise where the deer's neck comes down. And just parts of leaves can be showing, and then you'll come down and cut the bottoms off after you've got them in. I think a dozen is going to quite fill this bottom, but if you want to make more, feel free to make as many as you want. Here is my pile of decorations. There was one in there. I thought a lot of different colors would be neat, and if I was making them out of paper, I would make reds and blues and all kinds of colors. But I was able to find some in one of my books, and to keep them matching, I have all kind of the same color, and they're hanging on the deer's antlers. We need to tip them a little bit more so that they fit in there. But that'll give you the idea. We're going to glue things down before we try putting these down. So I think the first thing we need to do is glue the deer down. And we need to figure out exactly where we want him. I think very close to there. Let's kind of measure. 4.5, and it's 5. Let's move it over just a little bit more. 4 3/4. All right, let's settle that we want our deer head right there, and I'm going to pick up my leaves now. We'll lay them aside. We'll lay these ornaments aside. And the antlers, we'll push up there, and the ears and stuff. We'll just get them out of the way. This is where we want our deer to be. And since we have to pick it up and put glue on it, make a tiny mark here at the bottom. where you want to set the head down. Get your glue sheet handy. And let's put glue on the back of the deer head. All right, find my markings. Try to get him straight up and down. There we go. Now let's glue this lighter colored fur on top of the darker colored fur of the ears. Be sure you get right on right and left on left. Now let's do our left ear. There we go. He's looking cute, isn't he? And they will go right where these little indents are in the head. Something like that. It might have been a good idea if they went under the edge. I wonder if it can be picked up a little bit and put under the edge. All right, let's glue this one down. I think they're to the side a little bit to leave room for the antlers. Okay. Just like that. See if we can pick this one up. You might have been smart enough not to fasten that edge down, and you will get to put it under much easier than I am. As I've said many times, I'm a forgetful grandma, and I think of things way too late. There, I would have done it much better if I'd remembered not to stick that edge down. Let's see, we're going to wait for that. We're going to put the antlers on. And the same thing can be said. I shouldn't have stuck down the top of the deer's head. I was being too efficient, too quick. I'll try to make note of it on the video to warn you not to fasten the edges down so you don't have the problem I'm having. And let's put some glue on these. And this is crazy stuff to handle. Maybe you could find something that's gold that isn't quite so flimsy and fragile. But I love the looks of it. So let's see what we can do. We'll go down under the edge there. Now, the glue I got on top of that shiny gold, I'm wiping off with a wipe. Because I don't want that glue dulling my gold. There we go. And that came from my fingers. Let's see if I can do better with this one. Probably not. Be careful when you let this down that you don't have a sticky stuff on your glue paper that will come off on the front or pull on it and keep you from pulling this piece up. There, I just did it. What I was warning you against, I tore it. You know, you learn while you're doing it. If you would do this a second time, maybe you wouldn't make so many dumb mistakes. There, after much struggle, I think I have the antlers in. Maybe not totally straight, but straight enough. You might keep wipes around your desk. I'm just now learning that. I'm a slow learner. To keep the glue off your fingers. And we'll clean this one off because the glue from my fingers tends to want to get on it. There we go. Well, it's not perfect, but it'll do. And then let's take this center little scruff of fur and glue here between the two antlers. Now, let's see about the Christmas balls that go on the tree. I maybe should have got these antlers slanted a bit more, but you know, it'll do. Oh, that would go good there. Off that one, and maybe we'll balance it out with a long one there. We might not need all of these. You know, these should also be inked around the edges to help them show up a little bit more. That runs into that one. Let's go for something like that, but let's ink them first. Get a clean glue sheet to ink on. I ink with Vintage Photo Distress ink. Sure, there is a hook drawn in these, but we don't want to see both sides of the hook because one side's supposed to be over the other, over the antler. So let's carefully cut one side out. These are so fragile. And I'm going to be sure to ink that good. There we go. Like that. Yeah. So we'll cut all of those. Maybe if it will let me cut. This one needs to be on this side. Do you ever have days, and I'm having one of those, where you drop everything you touch? It just seems to be what has to be done is drop it before you do anything with it. There. And I will go ahead and do the rest of these quickly. Okay, I've inked my last one. And I think we'll go ahead and glue them down. Although, I'm thinking these would show up better if they had the dark outline. I might do that next. It would have been a good idea for me to have done that before I cut them out, was to make a dark outline around them. Let's see if that helps. Yes, that stands out much better. So I'll quickly do that and be back with you. All right, I've outlined all of my Christmas ornaments, and I think we will go ahead and glue them down. Now, if you notice, I have a spot here on my antler that was not quite right, and I'm going to glue this one down in a way that it covers that. You know, you can cover a multitude of your sins that way. So let's get these glued down. So while we're working down here, let's cover this upper part up with a piece of darker paper that's not shiny. Then you can see what we're doing with our leaves. Let's figure out how we want to put our leaves in. Let's glue them down and then we can cut them across the bottom. I know I want some bunches of 3 to put the berries in. Let's put a bunch of 3 in each corner. We'll figure that out. This one should go first. There. Like that. Let's put a bunch in this corner. The same way. I have one leaf left. Do we want to use it or not? I think I've got enough leaves on there. In fact, I got a little too many here, trying to cover up that spot that the glue made. I think I'll hold on to that. I might want it later. Now, let's let this glue dry a little bit and then we'll cut it off. And while that's drying, I'm going to go look for my berries. I will be right back with you. There's one bunch we'll put down in here. Let's see. And we'll put another bunch on this side. Okay, I think that's enough. Now, those need to dry a few minutes, and I'm going to go hunt for some words or something to put up here on our collage. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I found a few things I think I'm going to use. I found this little banner. This says, "We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year." I think I'm going to put right up at the top, right there. So let's do that. Oh, before I lose it, I also found a little poinsettia that I want to put kind of as a decoration on the deer, right there. That gives us a flash of red. It would have been nice if this was red, and I did have a red one. Got to think about that. The red one says, "These wonderful things are the things we remember all through the year." You know, I think I'll use that one instead because that red looks good. And I like the saying, these are things we remember all through the, well, not year, all through our lives. These wonderful things are the things we remember all through our lives. And that is so true. Well, let's put that one on. And then I found a couple of other things. Let's get that glued on. There we go. And then I had, you see these in the stores around Christmas time, these kind of plastic shapes. They're glittery. I have snowflakes. I also have Christmas trees. But I think I will put them right here. Now, they don't show up very much, but in the light, they'll be a glitter. All right. And I think we probably better use a tacky glue to put these on. So before I glue those on, I need to turn this over and trim this edge. So I think I'll do that next. Let's just go right along the edge. Okay, let's get these on and we will be done. My tacky glue. You know, I want to Mod Podge this so it will stay together hanging on my wall. In fact, I'm putting it on my bulletin board so I don't even need to frame it. That I should put these on after I've Mod Podged it, because I'm not sure that those will Mod Podge well. So I think we will stop here. And I hope you've enjoyed this idea of taking a coloring picture out of a coloring book or any place else, or download the one that we have here, and making a collage out of it to hang on your wall, to put in a book, or to do whatever you want with. Do remember, though, if you use somebody else's coloring picture, there could be copyright issues. Use mine, the one I have for you to download, and that's free to use any way you wish. And I hope that you have really enjoyed this challenge, and I hope you have a very, very, very Merry Christmas. Or if it's after Christmas when you see this video, I hope you have had a very Merry Christmas, and we'll try this idea of coloring book pages for collage patterns and try a spring picture. So I will say goodbye for now. Bye-bye.